All right, I'd like to call to order the April 9th, 2024 Waukegan Public School Board of Education meeting. The board previously did meet in closed session starting at 6 p.m. Under exception C10, C1, C11, and C21. And we will need to go back into closed session at the conclusion of this open session meeting. If I could have a roll call, please.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Here.
Mr. Riddle,
Present.
Mr. McBride, Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Lensing,
Here.
Ms. Fabian, Mr. Ewing.
Here. Mr. McBride did let me know that the township had a meeting this evening as well, so he will be here, but he will be running late. And Ms. Fabian will not be attending, but we do have a quorum. That I'd like a motion to resume open session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. We're now in open session. Dr. Cuevas, if you'd be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to hold my president's report at this time. Student board member report, if we can get that up.
Thank you, President Ewing. Hi, everyone. It's been a while since I've seen everyone here. It's lovely to be back. It's been about a month. But I hope everyone's doing well today. This is my 22nd student board member report. We're at 22 already. That's crazy. This one's very quick, honestly. It's just to talk about what I've done in March, really. Not district-wide, but outside of that, just politically and like civically, honestly, with the school district more specifically. As we can see here, there's some pictures, not the best pictures I've taken, but we'll try our best with photography here. But this one here is the MIGBA advocacy group for us going to Springfield. It was about 3 schools, if I'm correct. It was us, Stevenson, and North Chicago, and I think Round Lake. Don't quote me on that one. And we went to Springfield on March 6th to really learn about advocacy and how our political system works here in the state of Illinois. As you can see here, I was very lucky to get selected to be a page for Representative Mayfield, and being able to sit in the state house floor and really learning about how pages work, how the system is functioned, and just in general knowing what politics is like. And there's a picture of me sitting next to one of the representatives, and talking about Waukegan and how great we are and how the school district is so great, right? And yes, I did say all that plus some more. We also have a picture of me and the other pages on your right side. There were from obviously North Chicago, Round Lake, Stevenson, and then my friend Leslie on the left side and me on the bus before we headed out. So it was a fun experience itself, and I had a great time, and obviously bringing back some of the knowledge I got from the State House. Next slide, please. The Rooted in Radical Festival, I did talk about this actually about a year ago. I think it was a year to the day, actually, since I talked about this. And this obviously is a festival that the Schuler program goes every year, or started to actually last year, to really talk about slam poetry and the art flow that goes with that, and learning that it's such a great way of vocalizing minority struggles. And honestly, all the contestants, if I'm correct, were minority students, and just really comes to show how the South Side of Chicago is a pinnacle of the society in Chicago, and just in general representing Waukegan in a lot of ways, right? And obviously, a lot of Hispanic students, Asian American, and just being able to hear that out. And obviously, it's always great to go to that event and just hearing students and the lives they go through from day to day. And obviously, to the left, you could see Amazon actually gave them a prize grant. Actually, I forgot how much it was for, but they did that. And the MC, who was really funny for the event, and just a great experience overall. Next slide, please. Election Day 2024. I did have the chance, plus a bunch of students from the Waukegan High School this year, to be election judges. And obviously, I'm going to take a picture of the actual room and stuff like that because of election stuff and ballots. So obviously this is just a picture of my ID, being an election judge, plus the I voted sticker because I got one before we left. Obviously it was a great experience really learning how the political system works here in Illinois, and just in general being able to sit with a lot of lovely people for about 8 hours and, getting to register voters across at least my own precincts and getting to know what the community is like. Next slide, please. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, it was a pretty small slide. We'll get back to our longer ones next month. I hope. But don't quote me on that one. Is there any questions from the board? Yes, Ms. Lensing.
Those are all very exciting. I'm glad you got to have those experiences. I just want to put a reminder to the community that the election polling places have changed, and to my understanding, none of them are schools anymore. So make sure you get your voter registration card and it tells you where your new polling place is. I know last year there were some concerns because wards changed, but just be on the lookout for that.
Yes.
Are you sharing your experiences with your classmates?
Every moment I have,
Good,
I always
good.
have time to talk about it, and they're really excited to really hear what I get to do and how they can get involved also.
Okay. So they're hearing about
Yeah,
all
they
of
are
this.
hearing it. You never stop hearing. I never stop talking about it, honestly, and being able to show them how there's so many experiences they can also take if they want to do stuff like that, especially the election judge, because the county always needs more people. So especially that one, I'm pushing a lot more
Yeah, I
to get to
think
that
so.
done. And obviously, this was a year where a lot of students actually did it. So I'm really happy that students actually went out and did this work.
I met some at my polling place. Some young people from Waukegan.
Mr. McBride?
Well, it's a question I asked last time this came up. I did go to the clerk's office myself to find out why our students would have to have a certain point grade average in order to be an election judge. And my question was, because you got seniors, nothing against them, but have a hard time spelling or have a hard time themselves trying to navigate through the paperwork. So it kind of bothered me because of why does a student have to have a certain point grade average? But I found out that's a state mandate policy. It's not the clerk's office.
No, yeah. That's what they let us know, and during the presentation that they gave us, and that's obviously not just their decision. It was the state mandate, and that's something you would have to deal with Springfield at that point. But a lot of students, and I appreciate that the school district and obviously a lot of the teachers really pushed that forward. So yeah, with that, I will reserve the balance of my time.
Thank you. Appreciate the way in which you represent District 60. So now we got item 7A, Spotlight on 60. We have a presentation.
The Middle School Music Festival started about 12, 13 years ago, and bringing all middle school students across the district together. We have 5 middle schools, and so this gives them an opportunity for all grade levels across the district to perform all together.
We start preparing at least a few months in advance to make sure all the students are very confident on their part. But the real excitement and change, and it comes when we tell the students that they get to play with all the other students in the district.
It is kind of awe-inspiring for the kids. It's a nice facility to play in. It's a beautiful refurbished theater that the kids can see. The Genesee is a beautiful facility right in downtown Waukegan, and they get to see some of the natural or the artifacts in Waukegan.
I love seeing their energy, their excitement, them sitting on the stage, waiting patiently, watching the conductor, and playing their instrument, and then smiling when each piece finishes.
So I'm really lucky that I'm an orchestra teacher, because students in orchestra and band are oftentimes the most positive, the most punctual, and just kind of the best kids in the school. So when they show up, they get to work, and when I gave the downbeat to play, they played and they did great today at the rehearsal and also at the concert.
I think having a capstone event such as this in a district with as many different feeding schools into the high school as we have is really important. It's a special event that students remember throughout their entire time performing music, whether they finish after 8th grade or hopefully continue on into high school.
It's interesting because you don't know how good they'll be, nor exactly what's to come in the situation, because everyone plays differently and every teacher teaches differently.
I performed at the Genesee between the years of 2010 and 2013 every single year. As a middle schooler, I played trumpet on stage. It was really exciting, and now as a middle school teacher, I have the opportunity to teach my own students and prepare students for this festival.
Comments?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. McBride.
Anything's a good thing when our students are able to learn and just to be able, just the arts that we're looking at now. I'm speaking because it reminds me of Miss Hannah. I don't know who, there's a young man that came back here that's right now related to you that came back, gave us a nice check. I can't think of his name, but then I think about Mrs. England's son.
Harry Chapman.
Chapman, right. And I think about Mrs. England's son, who's Lee England's son, who's
Kids never got the money though.
And who's a violinist. So you know, we've turned out some good students just with band and orchestra. So whoever's responsible for that, I just want to give you kudos. Say keep doing what you're doing because it's paying off.
That's Miss Massimo.
It's Miss Massimo, and I would be remiss if I didn't also say thank you to Miss Safarowski and Bravo Waukegan,
Absolutely.
as well as this Board of Education. Right, there was a time, and Miss Hannah, Mr. McBride, others remember, where there were tough decisions, and the music program was on the chopping block. And I thank goodness that we kept the music program, that we've invested in the music program, and we've paid dividends. You don't get the New York Symphony Orchestra unless you see that middle school band and orchestra. So appreciate those investments as well as the partnerships with Bravo Waukegan and many of the other organizations that support, and also to see alumni like Michael Rodriguez and others that come back to work in Waukegan. Ms. Lindsay.
I was able to attend the first night of the event, so that was more so the orchestra and band portions. And the students did a phenomenal job, and all of the instructors praised them and said they were quite wonderful to work with. So I just love hearing those positive words about our students. One thing that I noticed, and I get it, I'm a working parent, I gotta feed kids too, but if we're attending these events, I'm just really hopeful that the community can continue to support other students that are performing, because as the night goes on, the audience dwindles and dwindles and dwindles, and it's not fair to those students who work so very hard. So I'm not sure if they switch the order every year, where this year orchestra goes first and then next year band goes first, just so that those kids get the same amount of love, I think is a good reminder for the community.
Right, and I was able to attend the second night, and again, as Christine said, the enthusiasm of the children, the choir sang, the mariachi groups performed on the second night. The kids do a phenomenal job. It's a thrill for them to be in a theater like Waukegan Genesee Theater is, and they remember that, as it was said in Focus on 60. They remember that. It's one of the highlights of their career, and music is something that you have for life, and it's something that you can continue to grow on. So I really want to thank all our music teachers. They do one phenomenal job. It's an important part of education that sometimes we overlook, and certainly, as a board president said, Bravo Waukegan does a phenomenal job. We are so grateful for their services here, and they continue to expand their program. They, besides supporting our music students, they have programs in the summer for them. They do things at Ravinia. They also now not only give instruments for children to use, but they also sell instruments so that families can buy them at a reduced rate. So there's some wonderful things. We are just so grateful that Bravo is here. And I want to thank, again, all of our music teachers who work so diligently with our students all year long. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We are at item 8A, minutes of the open session for February 13th, 2024. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments, questions, corrections to the minutes? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Item 8B, minutes of the open session meeting from March 12th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments, questions, changes, corrections to the minutes? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. We're now at our opportunity for public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board. When I call your name, I'll call names 3 at a time. Please prepare yourselves in order to expedite the process. Each speaker gets 3 minutes. If you need translation services will be provided to you, and you'll get 6 minutes. We do ask that you refrain from mentioning student and staff member names in your remarks, and we do want to remind all speakers of civility. First name is Mark Shinkton, and then Ray Vukovic and Randy Sabecki in that order. All right, Mr. Shinkton, whenever you begin speaking, your time will begin.
Good evening. So, I've wanted to bring this for quite some time, and I will try to abide, Brandon, by civility, but soon you will understand where I'm coming from. So, Ms. Lensing, I believe just this past Friday, you had the pleasure of meeting my wife.
I did.
I don't know if she introduced herself to you. So, for those that don't know, my wife is Georgianne. She also has a school name.
Oh.
Okay? So, it's very difficult for me to adhere to decorum and diplomacy when we don't follow it in the schools. Okay? And I get everything that has gone on in, say, the last 4 or 5 years. I think we have to let go of COVID as a crutch, okay? We need to get back to having consequences for actions. I don't know how many of the board members have gotten emails about a certain school. These things go on. There's no consequences for any actions. And where do our kids learn it? By just watching. You know, if there are no consequences for any type of action, good, bad, whatever, indifferent, people are going to respond that way. And, you know, unfortunately, then you might have this, say, continued prison to pipeline.
Thank you, Mr. Shinkton. Mr. Vukovic.
Yes, good evening. 2 items. First is number 13A on your agenda under personnel. There's a conference and travel trip to Las Vegas. And on the agenda that's made available to the public, there's no attachments. It doesn't indicate who's going, what the cost is. Everything, all your other things have attachments for the public, but this one just says that it's a few days in July and gives a very brief description, and I think in full transparency, the public should know who's going and what the cost is. The other item is wondering if, looking for an update, 214 Washington Street. 6 months ago, the senior board member asked for an update on it, and the deputy superintendent was up here and gave some timelines, and there was a date of, I believe it was the 31st of December that had to be met in order to, for the state grant that was involved. And when that was all being explained, the deputy superintendent said that, well, that's the deadline, but it may take a little longer, and the superintendent interrupted and said the building will be ready for the wraparound center to be able to be used. I went past 214 Washington Street today. There's plastic on the windows. There's paper on the windows. There's no signage saying there's a wraparound center there. It's 100 days after the 31st of December. So we've got a deadline here. We've told the state we'd have it open. It's not open. There was a community group that had actually scheduled a meeting there, I believe, last month. It was on another governmental website, and that disappeared and had to be scheduled somewhere else. So I think the public, as a state taxpayer and a local taxpayer, we're entitled to know just where we are with that building. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vukovic. Randy Sabecki.
To go on with that, also on Agenda S is another to extend the queue management system at 214 Washington Street that they're going to vote on to spend tonight, but the building's still not open. So while we keep putting money and more money and spending money, and it's still not open, even though they said it was supposed to be open. So my question I want to talk about tonight is the Elevate, or not, what was it? Yeah, the Elevate platform that we're using in our middle schools. I got a problem with this. You know, we lost the ELA teacher, then it was different teachers each period, and then it was another teacher that they had to let go. So now we're using the Elevate platform. They've been using it for 3-4 weeks now. I happened to talk to my kid, and that's how I found out they were using it. Parents were never notified until after I said something. This is weeks after it was being used. And the issues I have with this platform, for one, there's only weeks left of school. Kids have to learn another platform to log in. Then it's not even being stored in the Google Classroom, so now parents have no access to what the kids are doing because parents weren't even notified. So now they're using a different system within their platform of Elevate, which is Onyx. And I'd like to know who's doing the grading. Because as of yesterday, it said my kid was getting a 5.7%, an F. He's been getting straight A's in that class. Mysteriously today, he's getting a 90-something% in that class. It's a weird coincidence how this stuff's not put in. Then once I say something, again, now all of a sudden the stuff's there. But I just got his, not report card, but his progress report that was put out a while ago, and it's an A on there. But I monitor Infinite Campus. This is the systems that we pay for as a district. But yet, it's not on there. Parents have no access to it. We're the last ones that even find out about it. That it's even being used in our schools that involves our kids in those classes. And it's multiple classes. And then we always want to sit here and blame the principals. Oh, well, we can't, because they ain't getting the supports. And again, on the agenda tonight, we want to spend another $30,000 for HR to go travel around for recruitment. We said the same thing last year. It was to fill these hard to staff positions, but yet all these positions are still not staffed. So we're going to do it again this year. It's on here to travel again to fill all the hard to staff positions, and that's what it says on the agenda. That's what it is, to fill the hard staff positions that still ain't filled. So what's the point of the kids coming to school and they can stay at home and do the online courses? Our own data that y'all present prove that they don't retain the information. At 12 years old, these kids need to build those relationships with a physical teacher in the classroom. Put the administrators back in the classroom.
Thank you, Mr. Becky. Next two names in order, Rayon Edwards and then Kashana Hanna.
Mr. McBride, you said 12th grade our kids can't read and have trouble and difficulty filling out things. We know that. Thanks for the reminder. So what y'all board gonna do about it? Huh? What we gonna do about it? Because we ain't changed nothing. As he said, we paid the same amount of money last year to send Mr. Figueroa out to go fill these roles. He haven't done nothing. Not only did you have R.J. Harris' firm come up in here and tell you the HR department was here horrible, but y'all had another firm come in. Have you guys released that report to the board yet? In its entirety, not pieces of it, but give them the entire report. Because based off the knowledge that I'm getting, they gave HR another F. They even talked about a deputy superintendent. I don't know which one, but I'm going to find out. But I want to talk about the outreach director, because I hear you're sending our kids to unaccredited institutions and you're referring them to them. And if you're doing it, you're wrong. And I spoke to the superintendent about this, and you were supposed to get back with me, and I ain't heard nothing. These parents called me. Anything that our kids go through need to be a board approved. Y'all love doing things up under the table, but peekaboo, because I'm going to see it. We're not that dumb. We're not dumb at all. 13 teachers from the DL department leaving. Why? We came up here and talked about Dr. B. He's horrible. Why haven't we got rid of him? He's supposed to do all of this training. He ain't training nothing. I still got a deaf kid in my family that still ain't got no help. And I'd have talked to every deputy director. I'd have talked to the superintendent. I'd have talked to directors, teachers, everybody, and still nothing. But we still giving BAM $2.5 million to come in to do what? Sit our kids in a damn classroom to eat chips? They're not learning. And then we tired of coming to this board meeting, talking to this same board about the same problem, and we're not doing nothing. Mr. McBride, I want to ask you a question. Is that because you getting ready to get a free Vegas trip to go to a teacher conference and you not even no teacher? What are you going to come back and teach these staff? Nothing. Do you even go over and talk to them? But we're going to send you to Vegas, paying almost $3,000. And as I looked on Expedia, I can book Vegas for 15 days for that amount and still save some money. So why do you need $3,000 to go there? What are we doing? Is that for a yes vote? What you gonna vote yes for? I'm so sick of y'all, and we're tired. I got this community watching right now, and they say fire the whole damn board. They say y'all pathetic. That's what they're saying. And we okay with that? One of the biggest districts in Lake County, and we don't find nothing wrong with it. Dr. B need to go. Angel Figueroa need to go. And we still ain't talking about Amanda Patty forging a signature.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. I do want to remind speakers to refrain from mentioning student and staff member names in your remarks. Ms. Hannah.
Good afternoon, board and community. Well, I had to take a detour really quick. There's hundreds of these in a dumpster at the Armory being thrown away. Community could use these. Several months ago, a student came up here talking about sanitary products that could be used in the high school and middle schools, and there's hundreds of them in this bag being thrown away in a dumpster. They're bags full of personal hygiene items, brushes, toilet paper, face towels, soap, all these things that could be used in the community, but we are wasting it with District 60, and there are hundreds and hundreds of them in a dumpster at the Armory. And from what I understand, there are more coming tomorrow. It shouldn't be wasteful. Secondly, I know you just told us to refrain from staff members and everything, but I believe that this is something that needs to be said, something that needs to be heard, something that needs to be congratulated and appreciated in the district. Dr. Tasia Fields. She finished her PhD. She was successful in that. And that is something that the district needs to congratulate. She is an asset to our district. And this is a public statement that we are demanding as a community that because she is a black woman with a PhD in District 60, that she is not put on the chopping block, that she is valued for what she is, what she brings in an asset to this district, and that she is not pushed out like other black women in this district. So as a district, I think, and I'm demanding and requesting that there is something for Dr. Fields and her accomplishment.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. This concludes our public comment. Superintendent, especially where there were questions about curriculum and other things, if we can reach out to the staff, the community members who spoke. We are now at the point in our meeting for the consent agenda. The consent agenda, these items should be previously discussed and or be considered non-controversial. Any board member can ask for any item to be voted on separately. All I need to know is the letter. So if anyone would like to vote on anything separately at this time, please let me know the 10 in the letter.
I would like to make a comment regarding 10D, the renewal, excuse me, the renewal of the super eval tool.
So we have a motion. Do you want to vote on that separately then, Ms. Hannah?
No.
So do we have a motion to approve items A through, if you can scroll down, Mr. White, through S?
Motion to
There's
approve
questions,
items in the consent agenda A through S.
Motion by Mr. Riddle. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McBride. Questions or comments on the motion? So go ahead, Ms. Hannah, with your
Okay,
comment.
I am asking that the super eval to, I hear that it is good in terms of the administration using the super eval tool, but when I introduced super eval to the board, the intent was to have the super eval, because it's short for superintendent evaluation, and I am requesting that if we renew the super eval tool, that it is also used for the superintendent, deputy superintendents, associate superintendents, area superintendents, that it's used. If it is used, if it's good enough and makes progress for the administration, the principals, so on and so forth, that it should be also used for our upper administration and superintendent, because the super eval is just short for superintendent evaluation tool. That was how it was, the state presented it during the training webinar. Okay, and so if it's good for others, it should also be used. And it is not a I gotcha tool. It is a building process and progress tool, and it should be used for everyone. And also, we're doing a lot of renewals. We're doing a lot of renewals, and I'm not going to delve really into the academics, but I would like to know I was thinking we have a lot of the IT stuff that is included in the consent agenda, and I am hoping that as we move forward, that we will be able to compartmentalize what's IT and what's just academics, so that we don't have to be looking all over the place to see which one is academics and which one is IT. And hopefully just a refiguring or reconfiguring of the agenda. When it's academics, put it all in one. When it's IT, put it all in one.
So we
And
have
so-
it split by academics and operations.
No,
Are
I
you
know.
asking for a third category?
Well, no, I'm just asking, no third category. I'm just asking when it's put on the agenda, sir, just to, instead of me having to take and to look at like the CTE, right? And the what is the thing, the K, what, no, the CAMI.
Oh, you mean Alex?
Yeah, all of this here right there. See, all of that is IT, right? Yeah, that's IT, but
It
I
can be
wouldn't have known.
considered. So that's why I think is most things for IT would fall under operations. Is that accurate? It depends, Dr. Clavers.
Well, is
Which
this-
one? If you want to grab the microphone and just
Yeah,
respond,
because
please.
what is R? What is R, and does it go?
Yeah, it's not IT. That's a software.
Yeah.
Is okay? So I'm.
Good evening, Board President, Board members, Superintendent, members of the community. So, Ms. Hannah, it is academics and operations, as you know, and so sometimes those IT pieces will fall under operations, but for the most part, they fall under academics.
Right.
What we could do is we could try to set the agenda so we cluster them together, if that would make it easier
That's
for
a
you.
better word.
We can, Nick, so when we do our final
That's a better word. Thank
overview, if that's what I'm assuming that's what you meant to.
That's
Okay,
exactly
so
what I'm talking about.
that's an easy ask. We'll try to cluster. We'll do our best to cluster them together.
Thank you.
There are times when we do get things later on and they have to go into a different place for whatever reason. But if that's what you were,
That's
no
exactly
problem.
what I'm saying. Thank
Sure.
you, Doctor.
No problem.
Ms. Lindsay.
This is just going to tie back to one of our public comments. So when we're looking at S, I'm actually really excited for this software to be introduced at the Wraparound Center, which to both of the points, I think an update on that location is needed because we were supposed to open, I believe, a couple days ago.
And Ms. Lindsay, only thing I want to do. No, go ahead, finish, and I'll circle back.
So with this system, essentially, time is money, right? And so our families need a way to make an appointment or reserve a slot so they are not wasting their time. So this is very similar to like when you go to the DMV, you can sign up for a certain time, you show up a little ahead of time, and then instead of being there for the whole day, you're there for a shortened period of time. And I think for the services that we're looking to provide for the students at this location, that's something that we want to do and to have in place for our families. It's going to benefit them greatly. So I am really excited to see that being implemented at that location. I'm also excited for O, where it's the 2 computer labs for our CTE department. The fields that this is going to support, if you scroll down, Lee, please. No, yeah, in the blurb. We can show the community, right? It's going into information systems, technology, computer programming, networking. These are a lot of job opportunities out there that are going to pay our students well. So if we can get them experience in these fields early on, we are setting them up for success and hopefully as minimal debt to getting onto their career path as possible. So I'm really excited to see those 2 things.
And thank you, Ms. Lindsay. And what I was going to remind the board as well as the public, because I did see our director of the Wraparound Center in the building, was that there's a standing agenda item on operations, right? And so 2 quick reminders is the state hadn't approved the vendor, so we were going through that process, and they did allow an extension. And the second point was that had been communicated at the previous operations, that information is there. She has been keeping the board abreast, and I don't want there to be this misconception. So the entire building is not ready to be open, and I don't think that statement has ever been made. But the Wraparound Center has been waiting for the state to approve us through the process, and because of, and I see you shaking your head, so if I don't know, and because of delays at the state level, they have approved continuances, right? Thank you.
Okay.
So we are making sure, Mr. Vukovic, that we are not leaving money on the table, and I did want to shout out both our grant manager and our director of Wraparound, who have been monitoring that process very, very closely. Thank you.
Board.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes, just wanted to comment on a couple items on this consent agenda. One of them is 10C, and that is the Whittier Elementary School Professional Development. Just want to update the board that Whittier had its authorization visit last Thursday and Friday. I was there for Friday when we met with some of the inspection team that was there. It looked like things went really well, and we could become the first international baccalaureate school, elementary school in Lake County, and that item is for professional development for September. So 10C, we're going to be sending 8 of our teachers from Whittier to further education on International Baccalaureate. This is an exciting development for our kids, for our schools here in Lake County. The International Baccalaureate program, the board had a presentation by a couple of the IB counselors from Whittier here just a few weeks back. It's an exciting program. It is really world-class education that we're going to be providing for our students, and then it's going to move up as those kids move into middle school and in high school. So that's an exciting development, and I certainly support the training that needs to take place for those 8 instructors in the fall. So that's item 10C. And then the other item that I was just going to comment on is item 10H and I for Oakdale and North Elementary. I see they're going to be having some PD at the Ron Clark Academy. That's where some of our teachers from Cook went. It's a terrific program. I asked the board members to take a look at that. Google it, because it's quite an outstanding academy. Really works on building communication and relationships between teachers and students, and building community within the school as they are doing at Cook with houses and so you've been briefed on some of that before, but certainly I support that PD taking place as well for North and Oakdale. I'm pleased that we're expanding it and hope at some point we can do that, expand it to our middle school and high school. But anyway, I just wanted to comment on those 2 items. Thank you.
Can I have one?
Go ahead, Ms. Anna.
And in terms of the baccalaureate,
yes,
schools, I'm just wondering if they explored or contacted the baccalaureate school in Vernon Hills.
There's no other IB school in Lake County. We'll be the only one, as far as I know. We'll be the first.
It's one in Vernon Hills.
In Vernon Hills?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not aware of that.
It is.
I know there's one in Milwaukee. There's some in Chicago.
Yeah, it's one in Vernon Hills.
Okay, but I know the staff has visited other baccalaureate schools, and not sure about that one. But anyway, yes, it's a terrific program. It's been in existence since early 2000, something like that. But it's a European program, but it's all around the world.
Yeah.
So there's 1,000 schools or so. So there is an IB school in Vernon Hills?
Yes, it
okay.
is.
It's in Vernon Hills.
They got a whole building.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, but they got a whole building. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. All right, thank you.
Yeah, again, regardless of first, second, third, or fourth is good
It's
for our
happening in
kids.
Waukegan.
Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes. Items approved. Motion carries. I'll read these for the record. 10A, approval renewal of respondability for 24-25, 25 and 26 school years. 10B, approval of renewal of super eval tool. C, Whittier Elementary School professional development request. D, Smith IB training. E, renewal of everyday math for grades K through 5. F, renewal of Dreambox learning for K through 5. G, renewal of GLAD. H, Oakdale professional development request. I, North Elementary professional development request. J, renewal of Achieve 3000 and Smarty Ants for grades K through 12. K, renewal of Alex for 6 through 12 math. L, renewal of Valley Business Machines graphic calculator for high school Chromebooks. M, renewal of Expeditionary Learning for grades 6 through 8. N, renewal of CAMI for SY25. O, 2 computer labs for CTE at high school. P, renewal of Hand to Mind K through 5 science materials for SY25. Q, Carnegie Learning Summer National Institute for educators of grades 6 through 12. R, renewal of Q management system for student registration. And S, expansion of Q management system for Waukegan Educational Service Center, 214 Washington Street. We now have the consent agenda for operations. So just say number 11 and the letter for any item that you would want voted on separately.
What are we using paper for?
If we can, do you want to vote on it separately, Ms. Hannah? If so, just
ask questions.
Just got questions.
then,
Mr. President.
then that's fine. Then I'll take a motion in a second so you can ask the question. I just want to make sure.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Lindsay.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hannah. And comments, questions on the motion?
Yeah, I got some questions regarding if you could move the agenda, operations agenda up so I can see what I'm looking at. What is that, 11N? Yeah, the paper order. What? I'm asking about the paper order with all of the technology that we have. What are we, what are we using? Wait, just 1 second. Let me get it. What are we spending just about $61,000 worth of paper for?
Can you go to N? Lee, can you go to N?
I understand the process of buying it. I want to know what the paper is being used for.
I can help with that. So it's used all across the district, Ms. Hannah. In classrooms, teachers are still giving stuff on paper. We use it at a board, you know, for our board reports, etc. I mean, we still need paper. I understand why you're asking because we're one-to-one, and our curriculum is online, but our staff still does use paper.
Okay.
I can also, this particular paper order is to refill for the end of the year, and also an attempt, I want to be very clear, an attempt to prepare for the beginning of the year. So it should last us into maybe October. That would be the ideal. Maybe even December, but I want to be very clear that that's an attempt. I never know exactly what the district is going to need for paper, and I work with our warehouse to try and anticipate demand at the district level.
Okay. And while you're here, purchaser.
Yes.
COVID products. Can we get a refund on COVID products that we did not use?
At this point, it's highly unlikely.
But if you want to take that as a takeaway and just come back and respond.
Yeah, because what I've seen, crates and crates and crates of COVID supplies. Hand sanitizer and I don't know what else. All I know. And I'm just wondering, is there some way, instead of just kind of throwing all of that stuff away, it's kind of wasted money, if we could get some kind of rebate or something?
Ms. Jamison will come back with that answer.
Yeah.
So I did write that down, Ms. Hannah. I will circle back with the board on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Go ahead, Ms. Lindsay.
I think it would just be appropriate to have a moment of silence, especially with regard to item 11I. I know we want to be more mindful of those that pass away in the community, so if we could have a moment of silence for Mr. Tempass.
Amen.
And any others. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes. Items approved, motion carries. I'll read them in for the record. 11A, approval of Whittier Elementary classroom furniture purchase. B, approval of North Elementary Media Center furniture. C, approval of North Elementary School teacher workroom furniture. D, approval of Waukegan High School furniture purchase. E, approval of Clearview Elementary camera purchase. F, approval of Waukegan High School Brookside campus seminar math science classroom furniture. G, approval of Waukegan High School Brookside teacher workroom and teacher lounge furniture. H, approval of Cook Magnet Elementary pocket lunch table purchase. I, approval of facility rental waiver request for community outreach Waukegan. J, approval of emergency walk-in cooler freezer replacement at Brookside. K, approval of facility rental waiver request for Peterson and Patch Funeral Home. L, approval of bid for Hyde Park asbestos abatement 2024 phase 1 and 2 bid in Waukegan High School Odyssey Prom for 2025. And approval of FY24 paper order. O, approval of Andrew Cook Magnet Classroom multi-zone ductwork replacement. P, approval of furniture purchase at John Lewis Middle School. And then Q, approval of furniture purchase for Jack Benny Middle School. Under purchases and contracts, we got 12A, Internet Service Provider and Fiber Connectivity E-Rate 2024.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designees to approve the purchase with Crown Castle for Internet Service Provider and Fiber Connectivity E-Rate 2024 in the amount of $214,068.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Did I hear E-rate in here?
Yes, ma'am.
Are they giving us money? We're not giving them none, right?
We're renewing.
Right?
Dr. Cuevas.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Cuevas said they are giving money
As long as they
for
give
the
us
public
money.
that's watching.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
In the amount, we're only responsible for $214,000 out of the $1.7 million. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
No, the
So that'd
E-rate,
be
that's what
1/7?
E-rate.
We're responsible for 1/7 of the cost. But look, the total
Yeah,
cost.
I see it.
Yeah. So that's 1/7
And
of the
which,
full.
amount, which is.
So good evening.
E-rate.
So yes, we're receiving E-rate funds from the federal government. So basically, we receive 90% of the total cost, and the district is responsible for 10%.
So we're responsible for the 214,000.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Okay. and
that's the 10%.
And E-rate, okay.
That's correct.
Mhm.
That math ain't mathin' for me.
When you look at the explanations, there are 3 categories.
Okay.
So
I
when-
would just like the bottom amount of the
Correct, but that's the
1.7.
math is based on the 3 bullet points.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are at item 13A, attendance at Wired Differently Trauma Informed Schools Conference in Las Vegas.
Can we hold that one over? Oh, sorry. Did I jump?
I mean, there hasn't been a motion in a second, so there's a request to hold over for conversation, I guess. Is your motion to hold that one over, Ms. Gonzalez?
I motion to hold it over until we know who is attending the conference.
It's in the
It's
description.
in the recommended action, Mr. Jeff McBride.
Oh, just him?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we had 4 tickets.
It was,
Okay,
he's,
then
he's,
never mind.
he's
I
going,
rescind.
do we have, then, so you will rescind your motion, so do we have a motion to approve the recommended, can you read the recommended action, Superintendent?
Is this the?
Can you read the recommended action,
It
Superintendent?
is,
You
the
asking me?
it is the recommendation that the Board of Education approve the attendance of board member Mr. Jeff McBride at the Wired Differently, Trauma Informed Schools Conference from July 8th through the 12th, 2024 in Las Vegas. The estimated cost is $2,900, which includes airfare, lodging, registration fees, and per diem.
Do we have a motion? A motion to allow for the conversation. Do we have a second?
What did you? Oh, there was a motion.
I motioned.
Second for conversation.
Second for conversation. Do we have any questions or comments
Yeah, I
on the
got
motion?
Is this the conference that you're going with outreach?
No, this
No.
is a conference concerning at-risk students.
But is this different than the one that Director Dupuy is going on?
I'm not sure which one he went to.
I thought
That
you
was in NOLA,
going to-
New Orleans.
No.
No, that's not the one. Well, Mr. McBride, you should have said something, because I would have went.
Sound like he's speaking to the microphone.
Oh, Mr. McBride, if you had said, I would have chose to go with you.
Well, I don't know if it's still too late or not. I mean, again, the purpose of going would still be valuable for your information as well as mine. And the conference is for at-risk students. How are you going to learn anything if you don't learn anything to help the students? We can sit here all day long and talk about our students' behavior, but if we don't have no information to help the behavior, that's no good. That's not going to do us any good. And there's no reason for me to be going in and out of buildings and talking to students, trying to help them, if I don't have information or resources or ideas to even talk to them about their behavior. So hopefully what this conference will allow me to interact with other individuals, maybe from East St. Louis where they have the same problems we have, or maybe Memphis, Tennessee where they have the same problems we have. Kids that's dealing with violence, and we see it every day when we look at the news. So therefore, there's no need of me sitting here if I can't go and learn how to help our students. Then not only that, the dollars coming from the state is given to us for us to go and learn. So that's the bottom line to it. So it's nothing like that somebody's giving me, but there's dollars in the states delegated for us to go and learn how to help the students.
Any other comments?
I'll uphold my personal policy on the agenda item.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
Mr. McBride,
Yes?
Ms. Gonzalez,
Respectfully, no.
Mr. Riddle,
I'm going to pass. Yep.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Respectfully, no. And the reason is because we are constantly told that we should be focusing on policy and that we're hiring people to do these jobs. So I would have been excited to see a district staff member attending this conference so that they can then teach their team and then they can promote any policies that they want up to the board for us to review. And as they are the experts in the field of education, they would be able to advise us on such.
President Ewing.
Yes. Agenda item is 3-3. Motion fails. Item 13B, professional development request. Nicole Session.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the attendance of Ms. Nicole Session at the Conscious Discipline Conference from May 16th through the 19th, 2024 in Tallahassee, Florida in the amount of $2,259.
Motion to
Motion.
approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Hannah. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call vote.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Because she's a staff member. Just to distinguish.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes, also because she's working with small children, and this conference seems like a real winner for her.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Lansing,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item 13D, personnel, oh, I'm sorry, C. 13C, approval of human resources recruitment travel authorization 2024.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education authorize the travel of Human Resource Department staff for the purpose of recruiting teachers for the bilingual, diverse learners in math, science, and other hard-to-fill vacancies in a variety of job markets to include but not limited to Mexico, Puerto Rico, HBCU, and others as new recruitment opportunities arise in support of a successful recruitment effort. The total estimated cost is $30,000.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Oh, second.
Second by Ms. Lindsay. Any comments or questions on the motion?
I have,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ms. Hannah. If you can speak into the microphone, and then Ms. Gonzalez.
My only pause with this is that we have asked, the board has asked that we make concerted efforts in the American schools, and there's teaching preparation colleges in the United States, and I'm just not understanding why we have just it says but not limited to, but I'd like to see them listed. Northeastern, Southern University, even Iowa, North Carolina, different colleges and universities that we have right here that we can choose, or we can put our efforts in recruiting in those places. And so that's my only pause with that. I know that our HR has brought back a number of educators, but I still would like a bigger effort in recruiting from in the United States.
I just want to call something out here, if that's okay. Ms. Fabian is not with us this evening, but I do want to call out that when you look at the motion, we worked very hard to be able to get access to be able to recruit from Mexico. It's something that we've been working on for a number of years. Prior to COVID, we hosted the Mexican Consulate in Waukegan, and so I'm glad to see that we're breaking ground in that avenue where we will be able to recruit from Mexico. So, and I do know that Ms. Fabian, when she was with the district, had helped us create those relationships. So I see thank you, Mr. Figueroa.
So,
Oh.
go ahead, Ms. Gonzalez.
I do want to contextualize that, and I appreciate the superintendent's comments, because that's a comment that I had made a couple years ago as well. Puerto Rican Spanish and Spanish from Spain is very different from the language that some of our students use if they happen to be from Mexico or have family members from Mexico. There's a lot of students that also speak Spanglish and don't really have the strength in the language because they're growing up here as well. But that being said, I think that, you know, I'm with Miss Hannah, and we had the discussion before about having something akin to an itinerary when it comes to these things. You know, I don't necessarily want to vote on something without knowing the kind of strategy that we have going into these places. And I know I understand why we're identifying some of those spaces, but it would make me more comfortable with the decision to budget this amount if we were seeing increased interest from certain places, and identifying certain HBCUs, certain events in Puerto Rico and Mexico that we could take advantage of, and identifying who would be available during that time. I don't know what that looks like, if we want to do it case by case and or budget it just for each month as we go into the new school year. But I think I want a little bit more meat, and I do want to commend the team because the agenda items are much meatier than they have been before. But I think with this one, because it is such a large amount, and we have, and I'm all for immigrants coming to this country and teaching. I want to be very, very clear about that. We have excellent teachers from overseas, as we have recruited internally, who are teaching our students, who relate to our students. But at the same time, I think we want that strategy piece to be clear, and so that I will vote my conscience as it relates to this item because of that.
So, I'm sorry, Ms. Lonsing, I'm just going to respond. I don't think it's an either or. I think it's all of the above. And I won't get into if $30,000 is a lot or minimal, right? Because when you travel internationally and you're there a number of days, it seems to be honestly on the low end to me, but I'll leave that to Mr. Figueroa. I will also state that I was a keynote speaker, which I'll get into during my superintendent report, at a conference this weekend and early this week, and which I was speaking with superintendents, and they're trying to figure out how do they get into Puerto Rico, and it was really the Puerto Rico one that came up, so that they are able to recruit bilingual teachers. And that question was asked of me of how we've been so aggressive there. I also know that some surrounding districts are really trying to open up that avenue also. I do know that our HR department has done a wonderful job with recruiting internationally during a tough teacher shortage. I ask that this doesn't give, if we're not going to do it, we have to understand the potentials of what it can impact in our district. So if this needs to be held over, that would be my recommendation, because I know how crucial this is, and I also know how crucial it is to have a teacher in front of every student in our district. And so if and I'll just tell the board president, Ms. Lindsay, I know you had your hand up, if we need to hold it so that we can put more context to this, then we can. But Mr. Figueroa is in the back of the room, and if you wanted to expound on anything that Ms. Gonzalez said or could provide clarity, that would be helpful.
Good evening, board members, superintendent, and members of the public here. At the present time, with international recruitment, we have over 160 teachers in Waukegan Public Schools. If you just assign 15 kids per student, I mean, we're talking over 1,000 or 2,000 students who are benefiting from this. Most of them are in critical areas like special education. You will not have a special education department efficiently running without almost 100 special education that we have hired. Just in bilingual teachers, we're bringing around 40. May I speak, please? And in addition to that, we have the situation with areas of shortage of math and science. You basically have no shortage in these areas now. You have one vacancy, I believe, in math in the high school. I will have to go and check. I'm talking from what I recall from the report. So this is an important event. Right now, we're preparing to go to Spain. That's our main source of bilingual teachers in a school district that is mostly bilingual education is a very strong. If you put a stop to this, you're basically putting a stop in our recruitment efforts. Regarding Ms. Hannah's concerns, I agree with you, Ms. Hannah, that we need to hire locally. Actually, we were at the ROE conference. I think the superintendent office did share the date of that recruitment time. We were there and we're recruiting. Ms. Yvonne Fulton just came 2 weeks ago from Florida. She's visiting HBCUs. She have another trip, I believe, next week for North Carolina. Today we received an email from Wisconsin, one of the universities, in 2 weeks. I think it was for the 23rd. They have a job fair there. They canceled, and the reason was very low participation. People are not walking into job fairs. Mostly they're doing virtual, and the virtual is not just interview. Yes, on Monday, yesterday, we had video job fair. Only one student attended. We paid $600 for that one. Only one student showed some interest in Waukegan Public Schools. So this is an important portion of our strategy to be able to continue replacing teachers when they leave, retire, or we create new vacancies, especially in the area of shortage. I mean, this is a wonderful program. Regarding the funding, my last point is we put $30,000. $25,000 of that itself are coming from the state of Illinois, and I just spoke to Dr. Nolt about that. And specifically, it says, including international recruiting. The state of Illinois is telling you that international recruiting is a way to move forward. And in addition to that, doesn't have to come from the state if you have 160, a little bit over 160 teachers here during the 3 years that are servicing students right now here in Waukegan Public School. It's easy to stand here as a professional head talk and talk and talk and talk and bash this district. It's more difficult for good professionals to stand here to defend what children needs on an everyday basis. As the superintendent mentioned, putting those teachers, certified licensed teachers from Illinois, according to the ISB, in front of those students, that's the real definition of equity, which is to give a student at least the hope of a meaningful education so they can aspire to a successful future.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if you could elaborate a little bit on how this has opened up recently for Mexico. I know when I was visiting Mexico a while back, I was talking to a couple teachers from Querétaro that wanted to come to the States to teach. My daughter was living with them for a while as a student intern, and these two younger teachers wanted to come. They didn't know about a program yet. How were you able to get this opened, and how long have you been working on it, and what's anticipated? How many do you think we could get from Mexico? Because you know, that is, as has been said, those are teachers who can represent our students. Also, they can be admiring the fact that here is someone from their native country or their parents' native country who in front of them and is teaching them in bilingual education in a hard-to-place field.
We have a point of contact in Mexico, a recruiter there trying to work that out. We also have someone outside here in the U.S. Developing contacts there. So right now we have a handful only of teachers because this is our first real effort to hire in terms trying to make it successful. The problem with Mexico is not visa because we can provide the visiting teachers. The problem with Mexico is that the State Board of Education requires that they pass a basic English proficiency test, different from Europe or Puerto Rico or the Philippines. Some of the universities in the Philippines are teaching in English, training their students in English, right? In Europe, because of the different language, they aspire to learn English. In Mexico, we don't see the English popping up, and then we are confronted with the reality that when if they arrive, or they have to meet the language requirements here for a foreign teacher that was educated in a language different from English, that is the wall that we're confronting. But we are trying to develop certain connections in certain places where we might find teachers with higher degree of English. Actually, I think we found two, but then those teachers have to align to our school district in terms of credentials and the position that they're going to be holding here. So I can encourage you more to continue helping the children of Waukegan and continue making. If the issue was that we were spending money or going and not bringing teachers, that's what I found when I came into my office. That we have erased that to the point that we make it very clear that anytime we are engaged in traveling is because I am making a projection that we are going to bring people in. Exception was the board president. One time he told me in open meeting that we also want to create this relationship. So we are creating also this relationship with certain universities, especially with the HBCUs, Ms. Fulton and Ms. Carol May, principal of McCall Elementary, are engaged in that process with my full support.
So,
I had a question.
So we still got Ms. Gonzalez and Ms. Hannah. So go ahead, Ms.
Ms.
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez, 'cause I was
Well,
gonna
let's throw Ms.
piggyback
Lansing
off
in
you.
there.
Oh,
Sorry.
Ms. Lansing.
We could go
I'll be
boom,
at the
boom,
end,
boom.
that's
Mine
fine.
is fast. I mean, would it be difficult to create a calendar so that we could?
We already have a calendar.
Okay, then, and sharing that would be nice.
We would
and
share
to and to say how many recruits that we've hired on from the relationships that you're talking about, because it's really hard for me to make a budgetary decision based off of nothing in relation to the partnerships that we're talking about, right? I don't know how many recruits we've recruited from, Puerto Rico, from any of the HBCUs, and I think that would speak volumes even to the strategy, right? Because if you say, hey, I've hired 10 teachers from this college, then they're more likely to refer their classmates, right? And people from
Let me give you a down payment just for the Philippines. We are right now, conservatively speaking, planning to bring 35.
Okay, that's awesome.
There you go. And from Spain, right now we have, at least in numbers, between 15 and 20. Puerto Rico, we're still trying to see how the market is, because when COVID, the state in Puerto Rico received some funding, so guess what they did? Start giving bonuses to teachers to remain in Puerto Rico and not to leave the island. So at that time, we are confronting some issues. With the HBCUs, I can tell you, we sent 2 people to Jacksonville, Florida, I think was the location, and I was glad to see that they have at least 10 prospects. But that involves traveling, and when we have to go far and stay some nights, hotel, things like that, we need to come to the Board of Education for authorization. When we go to the ROE, was in Lake Villa, or when we went to this plane to the IRC, also job fair, then we travel is on a day travel, we come back, so we don't inform you, but we have a calendar that we can share with you.
Ms. Hannah and then Ms. Lindsay.
Okay, and
Can you use the mic, Ms. Hannah?
Mr. Figueroa, everything that you stood there and said from the time you came, right? That would give the Board of Education information that we would be able to look at when this item is presented to us. Okay, Ms. Gonzalez is talking about the itinerary calendar, right? Results of when we approve the money to go. I mean, the only thing that we know, right, is based on this this agenda item. Okay, we haven't heard that you recruited the 100 teachers. We haven't heard that you recruited 30 teachers. We haven't heard any kind of report, and so I recommend, okay, to Superintendent that she directs you to do a report for the Board of Education?
He does it annually. I don't want to belabor that. If we want to see it more often, we can bring it forward more often, but I don't want to put the perception out there to the community, or to be respectful of Mr. Figueroa. He presented the information. Now, if we need updated or we want that more frequently, then as a board, let's instruct and ask the superintendent to bring that forward.
Well, that's what I did, Brandon.
That's fine, but I want people to understand is he did not, because we talked about it. I mean, even when this conversation came up earlier in the year, what we were talking about the recruitment in the Philippines. So I want to be clear just with that, but I wanted to insert Ms. Hannah, and if you go ahead and finish your comments.
And so, Mr. Figueroa, it would benefit you to present to the board the successes, okay, so that we could see it when you're coming and requesting more recruitment money, okay? You know, but I still would like to see more universities and colleges from the United States.
Ms. Lindsay?
Thank you, Board President. And I want to thank the community's patience for how long we're spending on this item. We didn't, the last meeting, get a chance to talk about this specifically because the information was attached. So I do have a couple of comments. I think the biggest thing is that you heard from Ms. Gonzalez, you heard from Ms. Hannah, is that we're just wanting a meatier presentation when you're asking for these types of things. So just like they said, those facts and details, those would be helpful. And to echo Ms. Gonzalez's point, I'm not against hiring international teachers to come here. Again, I was an international teacher. I taught in the Philippines. I've met several, not all of them, but I've met several of our international teachers, and they're great, and they are fantastic, and they have a passion for kids. I've only had one bad experience. So in terms of that, I think we're excited to bring people into this community and to share the joy and wonder that is Waukegan, despite some people's purviews of our community. One thing that I was speaking to a parent about at a birthday party was essentially that we're getting a lot of newcomers, and to Ms. Gonzalez's point, they don't speak the same Spanish. And so we need individuals available to connect with them, because that's a lot for the child. Not only is it a lot for the staff member to teach in the American education system, but it's also a lot for the child. So I love that we're recruiting from Mexico, and that boundary has been crossed, and we're able to do that. But that's just some of the feedback to make sure that we're aligning to the needs of our students. And so with that, when you're going abroad to recruit for these hard to fill positions, I just want to clarify, right? Because we have community members that are like, we have lots of hard to fill positions. But from my understanding, based on prior presentations that you've given, is that the state dictates what those hard to fill positions are. So it is specifically diverse learners, it is specifically dual language, it is specifically math and science. Is that accurate, or am I missing something?
No, that's our experience. When we start with this program, we have dozens and dozens of special ed teachers vacancies that were filled by substitute teachers. So with the case of the Filipino teachers, they have been able to come and man, staff all of those positions, to the point that Waukegan Public Schools tonight, for the people who are at home also needs to understand that they have over 100 special ed teachers certified by the Illinois State Board of Education supporting our students. I can't imagine a better gift than that. And unless I am being deceiving to the board and to the public when I tell you more than 100, that have an impact, a direct impact, and that impact comes precisely from the efforts. And it has been a rough road for me to be able to bring these professionals to make the difference here in Waukegan. I have counted with your support when we go and travel. And as I say, we spend money in many things, but this is the best investment that we can do. Now, if we want to gear this more into Mexico, we're ready. We heard you, and last year when we mentioned it, that's why we're trying to open the market. But it takes time, the effort, and also have to be individuals that we can bring that they're qualified under ISB certification rules. So it's not just bring Mexican nationals, right, professionals, to Waukegan if they cannot acquire a certification. But think about that, your science, your math positions, mostly all done, all through a program like this. And why? Why do we have to go abroad? Because we were not able to attract sufficient individuals, teachers, to have our position. We all know that for two reasons. Number one, the Board of Education just changed the salary rates for Waukegan teachers. So that makes us more competitive, right? And I'm not going to get too much into the amounts. And number two, because the urban centers, Chicago is like a black hole. It sucks everything in terms of employment and things like that. For teachers, they have higher salaries. It's our urban center, so it's more difficult for us to go to a job fair, even in the Chicago area, and make, we represent Waukegan, we can do all of this, but they're not interested. They do have every other district between Chicago and Waukegan to go to, so it's a very competitive market. So by going international, all what we're doing is making sure that we can be competitive with our students. One final thought about that is we're in a week, we will start recruiting in Spain, a sponsor by the Illinois State Board of Education. They don't go to Mexico. The Illinois State Board of Education is not doing this in Mexico. Why? Because of the difficulty with the qualification. Still, we in Waukegan are trying to open those doors, following not the ISB model, but the Waukegan model that has been so successful, especially in the Philippines. So we need your support and authorization to be able to participate in an Illinois State Board of Education sponsored event in Spain to bring what? Bilingual teachers. Waukegan needs bilingual teachers because of our Spanish population. If we stop all of this, and we don't go, well, we're going to lose between 15 and 16 teachers. Not only that, we also have already created relationships because we have been there every year, with the exception of COVID. We have been in Spain recruiting and constantly bringing teachers to Waukegan to fill our high need position. Bilingual education is a high need position in Waukegan. It's our highest critical area. It used to be a special education. It's no longer a special education. Right now, ground zero is bilingual education. So I need your support to at least authorize.
I still have a few more.
Wait, can
we call the question? Can we call the question,
yes,
Board President?
Yes.
I gave people
wouldn't call the
space,
question.
and I have waited patiently, and I was interrupted,
Same.
and I let other people go forward. So please let me finish my questions, and then I'm more than happy to call the vote once everybody's had their chance. But I don't find that respectful.
I thought you were done, Ms. Lenzing. I thought you were done. You asked a few questions. I thought you were done. Apologize.
Thank you. So, and I agree with your comment with regard to the teachers in the Philippines. I work side by side, complete clear English with the students. They taught regular curriculum. You know, I don't think that's a concern. But for these positions that are hard to fill, you've told us that it's the department's responsibility. So, you know, given the personnel listing and dual language, you just said at ground zero is the highest need. When you're going to recruit to these areas, are you taking the heads of those departments with you to fill those positions?
Well, we invite the principals to go to the 2 job fairs that we mentioned before, one of them being the ROE. We extended the invitation also to go to the IRC. And as I mentioned, Jacksonville for the HBUs, HR is not attending. We have selected, we are in conversation with 2 individuals, Yvonne and Ms. Carol May, who are attending those situations themselves. I'm not even there. I told them we will do do what you need, anything support that you need. If you feel I should go, if I don't go, if you want to go by yourself, fantastic. So we are decentralizing to a certain point. In the situation of Puerto Rico, I take care of that. Spain, I take care of that. And in the Philippines, so far we have a trade of teachers coming, and they are so far, I mean, it's just the evaluation process. I think I mentioned that recently, and you were present in a meeting. We have zero concerns, so they are very highly qualified, and their performance is excellent at this time.
So the answer is no, Miss
Okay.
because you're asking questions, but I don't think you're getting yes and no's to your question. So the answer is no. We don't always take department heads, but what Mr. Figueroa has started to do is started to access the principals more. And I know that Mr. Riddle has brought up, I can't remember the district, I think it was Aurora,
Rockford.
or was it Aurora, or is Elgin's up there? Rockford, sorry, thank you, I knew it was out there. About how they utilize different staff, so that is something that we're looking forward to, bringing more people involved, like the department heads, to go out and also assist in the recruitment. So the answer is no, but we're getting better at it.
Okay, because if we're getting a lot of our DL students or teachers from the Philippines, and we're getting a lot of our other DL dual language from Spain and Mexico, that would make sense to me. But it sounds like we're getting
not only
better.
teachers. Right now, for the first time, we are at the door of bringing social workers, psychologists, and nurses.
That's exciting. That's very
And
exciting.
if you, as I know you care about those positions being able to be filled to a certain position, we can just have vacancies and vacancies and vacancies in those hard to fill positions. The positions are open. If there is anyone in the audience or at home or through the internet listening, they want to apply, please apply. But we have the vacancies, and all what we're doing in HR is trying to aggressively bring candidates here. So as long as they are certified and qualified in the state of Illinois, so they can assess our students.
Okay, I have one more point and then one question just to clarify to make sure I heard correctly, and then I'll be done. So to your point with the new contract, that's exciting. Hopefully that draws a lot of attention for those interested locally that want to be a part of the Waukegan community and family.
Absolutely,
that'd be great.
absolutely.
So I'm excited to that. I think we want to see balanced efforts, right? And when people come into the district, they have the proper supports to do their job, because doing an IEP, here we have the IDEA regulations, and they need to be able to hit the ground running with our population. So that was more
Absolutely.
my comment. And with the attracting new people, we're teaching our teachers how to teach reading. So hopefully that's a forefront selling point for us. From what I'm understanding, out of this 30,000, the state is paying for 25 and the district is paying for 5,000?
I don't think we will get to that number, but there
Okay.
are other federal funding and state funding in the bilingual proposal program that I will be collecting title monies, anything. Those $30,000 are mostly grant monies.
Okay.
I don't expect any single cents monies from the local funding to go into that effort.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McBride had a comment.
Okay. Basically, I was sitting there listening at the conversation, and I know the last issue we had was dealing with the Filipinos. Maybe some board members back, there was some controversy, and we kind of got in trouble because of the fact we was sort of seemed like we were being a little racist. But at any rate, we back at that junction again. Only now we're in New Mexico, and I do understand that where you're coming from, you're doing the best that you can, because before you was Fred Howard, and we were talking about the same very thing. And Ms. Hannah, you know that.
No, I don't.
Well, I'm going to say it anyway. We stood at that, stood at the end. We were talking about Fred Howard because you wasn't bringing African Americans in, and we needed more African American teachers.
Right, but
So
we had
sta-
a staff full of teachers, though.
So we, the same platform you're in now, we stayed on him all the time. I know I did. I don't know about Miss Hannah. I did. So, but anyway, I think my other colleague board members was also following the same suit. So I'm saying all that to say that you're doing the best that you can with what you with the idea of you recruiting. You also took it upon another step to accommodate the issue with African American teachers coming. You put some money in the budget. You mentioned Abandon Fulton, and you mentioned the principal, and you did that because of the fact you were going and wasn't bringing nobody back. And that was because of the fact you were going to places that people didn't look like you. You was asking them to come here. So we thought that if you sent somebody that looked like them, it would be more becoming, and they may accept the community better because they were talking about the community. And they knew about the community and the surroundings to get the people to come. So I'm saying all that to say that a lot of times in this whole conversation, I hear a lot of racism. I hear that. And nobody cannot tell me any difference. I got a little sense when I hear some of the different dialogue that's going on back and forth. But anyway, I'll just say that you've heard individuals talk about that there's kids that don't have teachers in front of them. So, and dealing with the diversity, most of it dealing with the diversity, all those pretty much classrooms are filled, and they're filled with people that came from the Philippines. And I went to Lewis, and I went to several other schools just because of what I was hearing. And those teachers doing a good job. They love on our kids. That's the bottom line to it. But at the same time, I'm going to say, and I'm going to close, I hear a lot of racism going here. But at the bottom line, I can't think like that because, number one, our district is probably 80% Hispanic. And I'm going to close with that.
Mr. McBride, I apologize. I think I misunderstood what you were saying. When now you are accurate with Mr. Howard in reference to recruiting African Americans, but what I was saying was that we had a full staff without African Americans.
Yeah. So,
Sorry, can we clarify? Sorry, I want to make sure I'm on the same page and understanding. You help me understand the racism component? Where are you hearing racism in the conversation?
Well, the last meeting that we had dealing with the Philippines, that came out, and a lot of people were saying that, well, I didn't mean it that way.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't pertaining to this evening. Thank you for clarifying, Mr. McBride.
Yeah, so I think I voted against international recruitment in the past. It even got brought up when I ran for re-election last time, right? But this is what I hope to be final comment on this. There are 41 vacancies in the state of Illinois today. Mr. Figueroa, these are numbers. I'm sorry, I'm a banker, math, analytics. That's how I'm wired. There are 4,000 vacancies, 4,100. Estimates is that next year it'll be 5,200. Yep. We have 146 vacancies today. Mr. Figueroa said that he recruited 164, 68 teachers from international, which means if he had not recruited those teachers, we would have over 304 vacancies. So, yes, there is a teacher crisis. When I go to the schools, when I go to the state, people are not going into education, and we have to ask ourselves why, and we know the reasons why, and we're not solving. We took steps, right? Pay is one, but that's not the only reason. Respect is one. So respect is one. So that's something that we want to address. Environments. But if we do not do international teaching, we will be in an even bigger crisis and a bigger hole. So I want to affirm the fact that I believe that we should be doing international teaching, but I also want to affirm the fact that what we're saying, Mr. Figueroa, or what the board is trying to convey is that yes, there are less teachers that are going into education. However, there are steps which we've heard from going to conferences that we've talked about, in which districts can be better engaged with local schools, right? And that's it. It's not saying that you're wrong for the approach that you have taken. I think it's paid dividends. But the board is saying, what other ways, and if it's not you, if it's somebody from your department, can we create those relationships? Because what I hear when I go into the community and when I talk is we have GYO, which is a great opportunity. Grow your own. I'm sorry to use acronyms, but which gives money for individuals that want to go into teaching.
Yes.
We have National Lewis that we have a relationship with. However, what I hear and have heard, and I have to say it publicly because I have to affirm so that people don't believe that what they're saying is crazy, is that we have a perception of being a difficult district to work with and for. And most people, even if they work in Chicago, if they do their student teaching, they typically work at the location in which they do their student teaching. And so all I'm saying, which we've talked about before, is as we continue to, and I will support this because I have to say that to the community, if we do not do this, it will be a bigger issue. And this is not something that is a Waukegan problem. It is a statewide issue. And I'm saying that because it's a fact. It's not, it's not Mr. Figueroa, right? It's not Teresa, it's not the Board of Education. We contribute, we have things that we can do in order to make it better, but we're not finding 4,100 teachers in Illinois overnight. We're not graduating them fast enough to replace the retirements. These are numbers. And the fact that we're not doing anything I'll take that back. The governor and our state legislatures have understood that this is a crisis and have put funding aside in order for us to think creatively on how we encourage more people to go into teaching. So I don't want this to turn into us versus them, American versus non-American citizen. I think what we are saying is we need to do both. And what the Board of Education said, Mr. Figueroa, is that we see where we've made the efforts in our international recruitment, and if you provide the information of what's happening locally, we'll have a better context.
My pleasure.
So, roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes, and I'm gonna be emailing you, Mr. Figueroa.
Yes, ma'am.
I already sent you one.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes, but I really want to see some state schools. I really want to see them.
Ms. Lindsay.
Yes, with the expectation that when things are provided in the future, we have more meat and information.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item 13D, personnel for 4/9/2024.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the first April 2024 processing of board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of March 6, 2024 through April 2nd, 2024.
Sorry, Superintendent, we skipped, we were at 13D, personnel for 4/9/2024.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments, retirements, retirement extensions, accept the resignations as found on schedules F1002, L949, and G660.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Mr. McBride. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah, I am. I'm seeing that. According to the report, I'm seeing that we're losing teachers, and for various reasons. But I am also seeing that we are continually hiring paraprofessionals, into the district, and I'm watching that because I don't want us to start substituting. And I'm going by what I heard, what I hear, and also I saw several examples I witnessed where our paraprofessionals are being put into the classroom as a substitute for a teacher, and unless something has changed in the school code, I thought that non-certified people couldn't be in a classroom without a certified teacher individual in there too. And so I don't want us to be, hiring paraprofessionals as an alternative. And so I just had to make that clear.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. And Superintendent, if you capture the question and just get a response. Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
I'm going to pass for reasons I provided during closed session.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are at the ratification, and Superintendent, I do apologize, but I want to let the board know, Superintendent will not be joining us in closed session. It's already 9:02, and just due to a family emergency, so she'll have to step out. But I want us to get through 16A. We'll hold the superintendent's report, and then we'll go into, you sure? Okay. All right, item 16A, ratification of first processing of April 2024 board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of March 6, 2024 through April 2nd, 2024.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the first April 2024 processing of board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of March 6, 2024 through April 2nd, 2024. The accounts payable board payments for the period of March 6, 2024 through April 2nd, 2024 total $3,212,723.02. The manual check request payments for the period of March 6, 2024 through April 2nd, 2024 totals $3,213,452.63. Though National Bank insurance payment for the period of March 6, 2024 through April 2nd, 2024 total $1,931,516.62.
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Pass.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We're going to go to the superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the Waukegan community joining us this evening online. So today, well, this weekend, yesterday, I was honored to be a keynote speaker with RTM. We can go to the next slide. In which I was able to highlight the policy work, the equity policy work that we are doing within our district, and how we look at policy through an, I'm going to change that word equity, so it was really part of my speech, an inclusion lens, to make change for academic gains within our district and betterment conditions up for our students. So that was really exciting. I just want to cover up some upcoming events. We're currently registering students, so if your students are coming back to school with us, the portal is open, so please take advantage of that. If you have any questions or are having a hard time registering your student, your point of contact should be your principal. Just send your principal an email, and they will assist you. The last day to register online will be April 30th, 2024. We can go to the next slide. Some important dates. Can you believe we only have 30 days of school remaining? Wow. Where did this year go? Finals for our high school. Our seniors will be May 6th, 7th, and 8th. Grades 10 through 12 will be May 17th, 20th, and 21st. The final day of student attendance will be May 21st, proceeding with records day with our teachers on the 22nd. Now here comes all the fun stuff. So our graduation and promotion ceremonies, our Waukegan High School class of 2024 graduation will be once again at Weisfield on May 17th. at 5:30 p.m. Let's all pray for no rain. And our middle school 8th grade promotions will be once again at the Genesee Theater. Juarez will be May 20th at 10 a.m. Smith will be May 20th at 2 p.m. Jack Benny will be May 20th at 5 p.m. Preceding by Lewis. I think these dates are wrong because we have them on the 20th. So I'm going to say that is the 21st at 10 a.m. and Abbott at 1 p.m. on the 21st, and we will make those corrections. Some important summer school dates. May 29th and May 30th will be our summer school kickoff professional development for our staff that will be working summer school. We still are in need of staff, so if you are interested in working summer school, please apply. We will be on a 5-day work week this year, just so that we can finish summer school prior to 4th of July. June 3rd will be the first day of summer school. There will be no classes on June 19th in celebration of Juneteenth. July 1st will be the final day for summer school for all grades. And July 10th will be the summer school graduation. Some other upcoming events. So Willy Wonka by the Walk Pack. I can't see the date on this, I'm sorry. Will be Friday. You can help me, Miss Lansing. Thank you. Friday, April 19th at 7 p.m. I have to say, we put on some amazing productions. Just like Broadway, world class. Our kids do such a great job. Our staff does such a great job. Please take advantage of this for even your younger kids. This is just a great opportunity to experience theater in our own theater at our high school, Brookside campus. So Friday, April 19th at 7 p.m., Saturday, April 20th at 3 p.m., and Saturday, April 20th at 6 p.m. So please come on out. Admission is $5, and it is a wonderful time. Our next venue will be Friday, May 3rd, which Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month celebration. I know many of our board members did attend. I believe it was prior to COVID, Ms. Riddle, if I'm correct.
It was.
And so we will be once again. They do a lovely job with just really giving us the experience of their culture. And that will be May 3rd at 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Jack Benny Middle School. So please, please attend and scan to, you have to register to attend so they know how many people are there. I do know that they give us a taste of their culture with their food, their dancing, their singing, etc. It is such a wonderful evening for our families. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. We did hold item 21A. I'm going to go down to board member time, and then we are going to go to closed session. If you, yes, Ms. Tanner, if you have a delegate's report.
Yeah, I do, and it's basically to encourage, hopefully all of the board members received the notice from the state board about the Senate Bill 100 training, and I am in the process of completing my modules, and I am going to say that before they actually make it mandatory, that we that we go ahead and take the class and get it over with. Because eventually they're gonna make Senate Bill 100 mandatory for board members, and all you do, and you call Miss Jasmine, and she can get you all set up with that. She did a wonderful job for me, setting me up for mine, and you can kind of start it, relax, or get off of it, then go back to it and stuff. But I just recommend that that we all do that, because there's been a lot of misunderstanding around Senate Bill 100. And so they want board members, because we're kind of a big part of that, because it, just like this evening, okay, we're getting ready to approve an expulsion for a student. And so anyway, that's what I want you guys to get your training for, Senate Bill 100.
You go on board member time, Ms. Hannah.
Oh, sure. Training. Well, I just want us to take seriously what individuals that are coming to the podium, what they're bringing forth, and that we as a Board of Education, I'm going to ask in open session, I want us to go on a Board of Education retreat so that we can delve into some of these concerns that that the community has, that staff have, and we need to discuss things. And if we just if we hear what people are saying, but we never ever address any of them, it's like it's totally disrespectful to the community that we're not addressing issues that are being brought forward. Now, maybe it's being addressed, and maybe, I don't know, they're being addressed. But I just know that as a Board of Education, we need to start addressing issues that are being brought forward to this tribunal of elected officials, and we need to do something so that we would get, you know, because see, we're sitting here and the public is looking at us. The public holds us accountable for everything. Our accountability comes at the voting booth. And so if we're not performing while we're sitting here, the community will hold us accountable. And we have to hold people accountable too. That's our duty. That's our authority. And we hold people accountable. The community holds us accountable, but things have somehow or other got twisted where we're being held accountable, but nobody else is being held accountable. And so, with that, I am asking for a consensus with the Board of Education for us to go on a retreat so that we can talk about issues that we as a Board of Education need to talk about. And there's been policy, the music policy committee. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend. We had a District 60 literacy committee meeting, and I'm hoping that we are going to look into and get us an answer in a reasonable time about the possibility of getting getting some type of rebate on all of that COVID supplies that were not used, because it is a lot of it. I'm done.
Ms. Lindsay?
There's a couple of things that I wanted to speak on, some of them good, some of them a little sadder, but with regard to the Willy Wonka Jr. play, so just a little bit more information on that. So Andrew Cook was hosting, and it was for all elementary school students across the district. So it wasn't just Andrew Cook kids, it was open to everyone. So it was very inclusive to give our youngest of young people opportunities to see if this was an area that they enjoyed. So I'm really excited to see the walk pack kick off. Hopefully families can join us. Just beware, there is a service charge through the website, so be mindful and financially planning for that, but it should be a really fun show. The kids are working really hard on it, so I'm excited for that. Tied to that, I just want to give another reminder that we need to make sure we're speaking about our students in the best possible way. We have great students here in Waukegan at every grade level. And so from the board down to everyone, right, parents, staff, community, we need to be speaking about them in the most positive, affirmative ways. Because if we're not, they're going to internalize that, and they don't deserve that. They're great, and they should hear that they're great on a regular basis. If you were able to enjoy the solar eclipse that happened yesterday and you still have your glasses, there's going to be another solar eclipse in the Latin America area. So I know there's a facility in Utah that is asking that people send in their used glasses so that kids in Latin America can see the solar eclipse in totality. So Superintendent, I might be sending you an email to see if we can get something organized where families can drop it off with schools so that we can do a big shipment down there to Utah, and then they'll forward it down to the countries that will use them. And then the last thing I wanted to comment on was I attended the Focus event last week where the Howell family hosted many individuals. There were some board members there and our superintendent and some district staff. And it was just a reminder of everyone that we're losing due to police violence. To be very direct, it is police violence. And so many lives have been lost tragically, and it's a very emotional setting to hear those stories, but it's important that we're hearing those stories. So I just wanted to extend my formal thanks to Ms. Howell for getting the organization put together and inviting us and allowing fears. And, some people, it may deter them from bringing bright young life into our community. So I just wanted to formally thank the Howell family for putting that on. I'm very thankful, and hopefully the district can continue to partner with them and support them.
Mr. McBride.
Yeah, I'm glad she brought that up. The conference that I was going to is the same kids that she's talking about. The name of the conference is at-risk students. They're at risk when they have issues in reference to violence or being in the street or leaving from the school every day. And I wanted to go to that conference. Maybe I could learn about some intervention segment ways to be able to help them out. Well, they don't get in contact with the police and be killed. You're right, those stories were sad. And it was 15 mothers that were sitting there, and they all had the same story about their kid. But some of those mothers I knew came to me before the kid even got killed because they seen it coming way ahead. Just like we as staff members say, we can look at our kids now and determine whether they're gonna be in the penitentiary, same reasons. But my purpose for going to that conference is for the same purpose that the teacher sits in the classroom to try to teach the kid how to be productive citizens, whether it means through English, math, or whether it means to being respectful. So with going to the conference, I would probably be around somebody that's going through the same thing I'm going through, because those mothers that was there, some was from Baltimore, some from St. Louis, but they all had the same problems with their kids being killed by the police. But once again, when you can come up with some intervention ideas or suggestions to be able to get in these kids' way, to get in their ears, or either to pass it on to somebody that's standing in front of them to give them some information on how to deal with some of the students that they may not understand, it's helpful. So it's sad to me that, that was denied for me to be able to go to that conference. But it's okay. That's still not going to stop me from being who I am in the community. That's why I'm sitting here. And I've been sitting here now probably, I want to say, for the last 16 years for the same purpose, because of our kids going through issues, and it's going through issues with some of the same problems that they was going through then, they're still going through them now. So like I said, it was kind of sad to me that $3,000, and I think somebody mentioned that we gave somebody millions of dollars, but coming and trying to do the same thing. I was going to try to get some information to come back to share, but neither here nor there. Moving right along, I just wanted to put that out there to let the public know that my reasons were going because of what Ms. Lindsay was talking about right now. We're losing our kids, and I think I said that every day. When I look at the news, that's trauma for me. That's trauma for me to see 34 kids in one day, all juveniles, all African Americans, getting shot down or shooting each other. Yes. That's sad for me. So if I can get somewhere to help get in their ears, in their space, to help them out, we're trying to give them some suggestions on how to navigate their way through this life without being in somebody with institutions, death, or institution of death, because that's the bottom line to it. That's when it's all said and done. I'm fortunate I ducked that. I ducked that, so when I'm talking about I lived through it, I was able to make it across the bridge. But God forbid me, if I don't put back what I took out, shame on me. So I just needed to say that because, number one, it puzzled me for me not to be able to go to that conference for the reasons that I wanted to go to help these students out. Once again, I could have been going somewhere sitting down. I put on a yellow coat to be a crossing guard, number one, where I can still get in my kids' way. And I still ain't stopped. I am hopefully get called from Zion Bidden to be able to work up there for 3 hours just to be in the cafeteria where I can keep talking to our kids. And number one, I'm retired, but I spend most of my time in these buildings, either at John Lewis. If I'm not at John Lewis, I probably maybe over at Clark doing something. But I spend most of my time throughout the day trying to do whatever I can to get in these kids' ears to keep them from doing what I did when I was coming up as a kid. But anyway, with said all that, I just wanted to get that out. Yeah, this is a sad moment for me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Mr. Riddle.
I'm going to pass.
Ms. Gonzalez.
I wanted to share a little bit about some of the progress that we've been making with the Waukegan Schools Foundation Scholarship. I was really pleased to see that we received 24 applications this cycle. It's a little lower than what we had seen in the past, but I appreciate all the teachers that integrated the application as part of their process, and they are aware, as Ms. Fulton and the College Success team is aware of a lot of the local scholarships that are currently accepting applications for their cycles. So if you don't get the scholarship for the Waukegan Schools Foundation, there are a lot of other scholarships still out there. Some who are accepting applications till the end of this month and into May. I will continue sharing the list, and I think there's a couple more that have recently opened that students can apply to. I also wanted to give kudos to Dr. Fields. Dr. Fields recently completed her dissertation and defended her dissertation, and we met as the Equity Advisory Council last meeting. There's a lot of policy review that will be coming before the board that I think is going to really challenge some of the some of the traditional teaching methods that that our district has been implementing for several years. I think it's going to be a huge shift, but I think it's going to be a good one, and we'll have some of our staff sort of break down their perspective and some of the research that they had been doing in relation to those policies. So I'm looking forward to that. And I do want to, I mean, it's a busy month, but I don't want to, I echo some of the conversation that had happened about previous events, you know, the Focus Banquet, solar eclipse, all of that good stuff. But I do want to highlight the Clean Up the Studs that's happening next weekend. If you're, you know, looking for a volunteer opportunity, please participate. That same day on the 20th, the library, the Waukegan Public Library is having a fundraiser. And I think that, you know, a lot of us take for granted some of the services that they provide our students, but it would be really great to show out for them. And this weekend too, I know that people can't buy no more tickets, I don't think, but some of us will be attending the Bright Futures Gala. I hadn't been able to participate in the past, but I'm able to make it this weekend for the Boys and Girls Club. And I think that's it. Oh, and I will be reading on Dia de los Niños on Day of the Kids on April 28th at the Waukegan Public Library as well. So that's also a thing. I would encourage other board members to participate. I know that they do regular programming where we get to read with some of the kids that are in the library. So that's it. Oh, and last thing. The Mikvah Challenge, we just got the invitation today for it. The Mikvah Challenge for our high school students that include our high school students from Waukegan, but also Stevenson, Cristo Rey, North Chicago, Libertyville, Mundelein, Wakanda, Grays Lake, Round Lake High School. It's going to be happening at the Dog Pound again this year, April 26th, 9 a.m. to 1:30. I just sent an email to see if we could reschedule our budget meeting. I don't know if that's going to be possible. I may go in and out, but that's also something that we could go out and support. For context, that's one of the civic-based showcases that the students do. One of our students who has been promoting the new high school building, you know, it came from the Mikvah Challenge. So that's it.
I want to echo some of Mr. McBride's sentiments, especially, and I also want to publicly thank Mr. McBride, is because a lot of people talk a good game, and I've said this before, and he's a person who actually doesn't like public praise, but I remember, and I give this story often, is there was a young lady who saw Mr. McBride walk through the doors downstairs, and she burst into tears. And Mr. McBride said, you know, what's wrong? And she said, you taught me how to ride my bike. You saw me, I was struggling, I was outside by myself, and you sat there and you taught me how to ride my bike. And what was unique about this situation is because it was life-changing to this young lady who was now a grown woman and working for the district. But it was just a Tuesday to Mr. McBride, because that's the person who he is. And so when he says his heart is broken, I know it is because all he wants to do is the best for our community, because it's all he's done for the last 40 years. And so I say thank you, Mr. McBride, for all that you've done and the sacrifices that you made, and the fact that you are still out there, rain, snow, that you are popping into the schools, making sure that you're still encouraging our youth. And so I do appreciate all that you do for the district, and all that you do for this board, and then all that you've done for me personally. And for there to be accusations that a conference somehow buys somebody's vote, everybody who sacrifices and gives time to this board, I believe, is more integral than that. And while our discourse has gotten so ugly and nasty, and we talk about the behaviors that we see in the classrooms and in the schools, guess what? They watch how we treat each other every day. And so to every board member, our kids are our future. It's our most precious resource, and we can all be passionate, but nobody is up here for a check. So thank you to the Board of Education. Thank you to the staff. We do have to go into closed session, so to the community, this ends our public portion of the meeting. I would like a motion to go into closed session under exception C1, specific personnel, exception C11, actual or threatened litigation, and exception C21, approval of previous closed session minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Roll call.
Mr. McBride? Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, all right. We will resume closed session as soon as everybody gets downstairs.